is a place in America where the ground breathes, where the earth shifts beneath your feet, where steam rises from the soil at dawn, and where the silence is broken, not by traffic, not by machines, but by something ancient, something alive.
Yellowstone National Park sits on top of one of the largest supervolcanoes on the face of the Earth, 2.2 million acres of wilderness stretching across Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho.
It is the oldest national park in the world, and it may be the most alive, home to grizzly bears, gray wolves, herds of bison so vast they shake the ground. Hot springs that glow like alien planets, geysers that have erupted on schedule for longer than anyone has been alive to watch them. This is not just a park, this is a world unto itself. And hidden inside it, one of the greatest ecological stories ever told.
For most of the 20th century, Yellowstone was broken. Not visibly, not obviously. To the casual eye, it looked wild, it looked whole. But something was missing. The gray wolf, the park's apex predator, the animal that had shaped this landscape for 10,000 years, had been hunted to extinction. Gone by the 1920s, erased by government-sponsored programs that saw wolves as a threat. Without wolves, the elk had no reason to run. Populations exploded, and the elk, thousands of them, settled into the valleys. Along the rivers, along the streams, they grazed and grazed and grazed. The willows were stripped bare, the aspens stopped regenerating, young trees were eaten before they could grow tall enough to survive. Without roots to hold the soil, the riverbanks began to crumble. The beavers left, there was nothing left to build with. Birds that depended on the willows disappeared. Fish that needed cold water vanished from entire stretches of river. For 70 years, while visitors came and photographed the geysers and watched the bison from their cars, Yellowstone was slowly, silently falling apart. Then, in January of 1995, 14 wolves were loaded into crates in the forests of Canada and driven south into Wyoming. On the day of the release, a wolf stepped out of its crate into the snow of the Lamar Valley. It paused, lifted its nose to the air, and walked forward into a landscape its kind had not touched in 7 decades. Within weeks, the elk knew something had changed. Not just a new predator, a new fear. The elk didn't only fear being caught, they feared the places where they might be caught. The open riverbanks, the exposed valley floors, the places where a wolf could see them from a mile away and they would have nowhere to run. And so, the elk moved. They stopped lingering by the water. They retreated to higher ground. And in the places they abandoned, the land exhaled. Scientists call it a trophic cascade, a chain reaction set in motion by one predator, rippling outward through every layer of the ecosystem. The willows grew back, first slowly, then faster. Within 6 years, tree growth in some areas had increased 5-fold. The aspens recovered, tall enough finally to survive the winter. And then the beavers returned. Beavers need willows. With the willows back, the beavers came back, and everything the beavers built changed the water. Their dams slowed the rivers, created ponds, raised the water table. The rivers grew deeper, cooler, narrower. Their banks stabilized, held together by roots that had not been there a decade before. Cold, clean water brought back the fish. The fish brought back the otters. The otters brought back the mink. Eagles returned to nest in the recovering trees. Songbirds filled the willows. 14 wolves, that is all it took. 14 animals brought here in crates had restructured an entire ecosystem, had literally changed the course of rivers, had restored a complexity and a richness that 70 years of absence had erased. Today, Yellowstone is home to more than 100 wolves living in multiple packs across the park. Scientists have given them names, tracked their family trees, documented their rivalries, their alliances, their strategies, their losses. Some wolves have traveled 30 miles in a single night. Some have lived to be 10, 11 years old, ancient by wolf standards. One famous pack, the Druid Peak Pack, grew at one point to 37 members, one of the largest wolf packs ever recorded in the wild. They are not just animals. They are individuals with histories, with stories. More than 10,000 bison roam Yellowstone's grasslands and valleys, the same species that once darkened the Great Plains by the tens of millions, that was hunted nearly to extinction in one of the most catastrophic wildlife collapses in history. Here in Yellowstone, they were protected and they survived. Today, you can stand on a road in the Lamar Valley and watch a herd of 300 bison move past you like a slow, dark river and feel, for just a moment, what this continent once was.
The grizzly bear, over 700 pounds, one of the few places remaining in the lower 48 states where grizzly bears still exist in the wild. In spring, mothers emerge from their dens with cubs no bigger than a house cat, born blind, born helpless, shaped by evolution into something extraordinary.
By summer, they will have learned to fish. By fall, they will have eaten enough to survive another Yellowstone winter. By the time they are 3 years old, they will go out into the world alone. Every single one of them a small miracle.
And beneath all of it, beneath the wolves and the bison and the grizzlies and the recovering rivers and the returning birds, the volcano waits. The Yellowstone Supervolcano, a magma chamber that stretches nearly 55 miles beneath the surface of the Earth. The caldera, the collapsed crater left by its last eruption, is so large that early explorers didn't recognize it as a volcano at all. They were standing inside it. The last full eruption, 640,000 years ago, deposited ash across half of North America. It is not extinct. It is not even dormant in the way we usually mean that word. It breathes. The geysers are its breath. The hot springs are its blood rising to the surface. Old Faithful, erupting every 60 to 110 minutes, year after year, decade after decade, is the heartbeat of something vast and ancient and still very much alive. Yellowstone is more than a national park. It is proof that nature, given the chance, can heal itself, that ecosystems have a memory, that the removal of one species can unravel a landscape, and its return can restore it.
We tend to think of nature as fragile, as something that needs our protection at every step. But Yellowstone tells a different story. It tells us that nature is not fragile. It is resilient, astonishingly, stubbornly, beautifully resilient.
What it needs from us is simply to get out of the way. There are 2.2 million acres here, every acre a story. Every story still being written.